But the PMP is, like I said, a really big project, and this submission especially is extremely important. It is a draft technically, but I can only give you feedback on what you submit to me, right? I'm just going to be giving you feedback once, and then you have to turn in the final. So this project is potentially a chance to get an A, no problem, because if you turn in a full plan and then I tell you what needs editing and you fix it, that should give you a chance to get an A, correct? So, but if you don't fill out all of the sections, or if you don't do a thorough and good job on this first submission, then I can't give you as much feedback, and you're more likely to not do as well on the final. So with that being said, read the assignment really carefully. There's a lot of information in there in the document for the assignment. Read through all of that. First and foremost, the biggest mistake I see on these is that students think it is a marketing plan for a business that they're going to create. And that's not what this is. This is a personal marketing plan. So it is about you. You are the product in this plan. It's not like me starting a cake business and how I would market the cake business. It's how I would market myself to employers. So that's important to note, and hopefully none of you make that mistake, because it kind of ruins the whole assignment if you do. But so make it about yourself, not about a business. So with the PMP, you're going to turn in the resume. Hopefully you've gotten feedback either from the peer or from somebody close to you. This submission, you're going to turn in the best resume you can to me, and I'm going to give you my feedback. And, you know, I've graded hundreds upon hundreds of resumes, and I've looked at tons, and I've also looked through resumes as an employer trying to find workers. And so I've seen a lot of resumes, and I can kind of pick out what's going to stand out, what's good, what's not. But also other people have an opinion. There's other employers that might have an opinion. Or if any of you are in Amanda White's class, I know you go over resumes as well. So she might have different opinions on what should be in or not in your resume. And the times change a little bit. So things that I think are pretty standard might be out of date by now. But not that I've seen for the most part. I'll tell you, good grammar and spelling is always in fashion. So never try to have any mistakes on your resume, because that is a huge red flag to employers. So that's some of the things I'll be looking for, is kind of grammatical spelling mistakes, some formatting issues. And I'll make sure, you need to make sure, obviously, you have your education on there. You guys are all going to college right now because you're taking a college class, so that should be on there somewhere. You can put your high school on there, although I would only recommend it if you don't already have a college degree, and so it's not as important as your college. Obviously college trumps high school. Almost any employer would see that you're going to college and assume that you went to high school, so it's not necessary to have your high school on there. There's experience for all your jobs. If you don't have a lot of job experience, it would be good to see some skills. You need to have some skills listed. Everybody has skills. You can just say familiar with a computer because you're taking an online class. Hopefully you're familiar with computers, or you know how to use Microsoft Suite. It doesn't have to be hard skills, and it can be soft skills too, like timely and productive and a hard worker, something like that. So you can fill up your resume even if you don't have a ton of experience. The other mistake I see is resumes going way too long. Ideally it's one page. Even with all my experience and everything I have on my resume, I still make it fit on one page, because employers just want a snapshot of what your experiences are and what you bring to the table, right? Your cover letter is a better place to flesh out a lot of these details. So I will probably dock almost all resumes that are over one page, unless you have like 10 or 15 years of experience in different jobs. And I have seen a couple of those, and those are fine. Those are different. And also CVs are a little different. So, but if you don't have a ton of experience and your resume is 2 pages, cut it down. Cut out some of the job description, cut out something. And once again, this is a submission where I get to give you feedback on what you submit. So I'm not it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going to dock you if it's not perfect. I'm going to dock you on how well you tried. If I just get like a Word document with some words on it, then obviously you didn't try very hard, and you're gonna get marked down for that. But if you tried and I just have a couple of suggestions for you, you're not gonna get knocked down for me having suggestions. So unless you don't implement said suggestions in the final result, because I do grade you on whether or not you took any of my advice. And even if you take my advice, even if you don't agree with my advice, you can always change your resume, submit it for the final, and then change it back to how you liked it. But like I said, I've seen a lot of these, so hopefully you take that experience with some authority, I guess. So I'd want to say that. So resume, that's just your resume, and that's going to be submitted separately from your personal marketing plan. So the resume is one submission, the personal marketing plan is the next submission. For the personal marketing plan, things you need to know is to have a fun cover page. This is not some boring solid block of text. I want to see graphics. I'd love it if you had pictures in there. You can use graphs, you can use other visual aids, you can use nice headlines, dividers in between sections, however you want to do it to make it look nice and interesting versus just a solid blocks of text. That's not what we're going for here. We want this to be fun. It's a personal marketing plan, right? So it needs to highlight and showcase you. With that, you're going to start off with an executive summary. And this is, if I didn't have time to read the whole document, this is the paragraph that just sums it all up, paragraph or two for the executive summary. And this should tell me all of the most important information that's included in the rest of the plan. And I would recommend writing it last. So I would recommend going through and writing the rest of your plan and then going back to your executive summary and summarizing what you wrote and kind of the main points of it. Next is the mission statement, and I will be grading all those. Those should have been submitted as of last night. So those will be getting graded sooner this week rather than later, so I can get you feedback on your mission statement, and you can make any edits to those and put it in your personal marketing plan. The next up is the core competencies, and these are kind of your skills, what you bring to the table, what you have to offer. So I think I said you need to have at least 3 of those. So come up with some good ones that really apply to you and really define who you are and what you have to offer. The next one is my favorite, the SWOT analysis, right? So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Same thing applies as to the homework assignment. Strengths and weaknesses are internal, things you currently possess. Opportunities and threats are external. So opportunity might be finishing your college degree, or it might be getting another college degree or a certificate or something like that, right? Future learning, or getting internships, etc. A threat might be competitors for that internship, or the economy, or external things, if that makes sense. So I want to see some good SWOT analysis. And then also the next one is objectives, and so these are kind of your goals. What is your goal? And I don't want to see like, I don't know, you can come up with some just for this assignment. And then later on in this, you'll do an action plan, and that action plan is kind of the steps you'll take to meet those goals. So if that makes sense to break it up. So objectives are kind of like the broader goals, and then the action plan are what details, what steps do you need to meet those broader goals. You're also going to do a personal, not a personal marketing plan, a marketing mix, which hopefully you guys should know by now is the 4 Ps in the target market. So your target market is, who are you trying to work for? Are you trying to work for accounting firms? Are you trying to work in the marketing for area? Are you trying to work in the tourism industry? Are you trying to work as an engineer somewhere? Who are you targeting? Who do you want to work for? What would be your kind of ideal company to fit in that? And if you don't know kind of specifically what category you're going to go into, it could be that your target market, you just talk about the features of the business that you'd want. I want a company that really values their workers and gives them lots of vacation time and has a great team and loves to work together or something like that, right? So you can describe what your target market would be like, not necessarily like, I want to work for this company. It can be a little broader. So there's that. The product is yourself, as I mentioned at the beginning of this. So you are the product. What do you bring to the table? What do you offer? And I know this is a little redundant, but we're really hammering on you thinking about what you bring. So that's the product. The place is kind of where you'd want to be. This shouldn't be too hard. Do you want to stay in Alaska? Do you want to stay in Fairbanks? Do you want to move to Hawaii? Do you want to work in Europe? Kind of what areas would you be willing to work in? And then also the price is, how much do you want to work for? What's kind of your ideal salary range? And this is a great place to bring in outside research. So if you do some research on kind of what jobs you're looking at and what price range those fall into, you can apply that into this section, because that's a good way to know kind of what you're looking at getting as a salary, right? So do some outside research for that part and kind of see what the salary range is that you might want to look for. And you can also add in other things like benefits like retirement and healthcare, etc. That'd be included in your price. And then finally is the promotion of yourself. How are you going to market yourself to potential employers? Are you going to use LinkedIn? Are you going to just hand out resumes? Are you going to try to get an internship somewhere and then move into a full-time position? What's your plan on promoting yourself? So that's a good one to think about. And that wraps up the marketing mix. So the next thing, the final two things is the action plan, which I've already talked about. It's the very specific steps you're going to take to meet your goals. And then your budget, which is also important. And I see a lot of people kind of flake out on this section, but it can be anything. It can be professional wardrobe. It can be the rest of your classes you have to take. It can be housing expenses, food expenses. What's it gonna take monetarily to get to your goals? If that means, just going to college for a few more years, then what are the costs involved in that, etc. So I want to see numbers, like actual numbers here, and then total at the end. So that wraps up the personal marketing plan information. I know that was a lot. There's a lot more in the assignment description, but hopefully that helps iron out some of the questions. Obviously send me more questions if you have them as you're working on this. I'm sure I'll get a handful, so more than willing to help out with that.